Hello, I'm that cool coder, and today I'll be reviewing and recapping the first 3 episodes of X-Men 97 Season 2 via their recent premiere as of early July 2026. The critically acclaimed series has returned for a second season, and you can find breakdowns of Season 1 episodes along with some videos about the original 90s TV show here on my channel. So, Season 2 opens with the episode titled Days of Past Future, which is a reference to the famous story arc Days of Future Past, as featured in the original TV show and the live-action movie. Now, this episode takes place in the future, which contrasts with episode 2 being taking place in the present and episode 3 taking place in the past. And the core, motif of time starts in this episode, and many characters here in episode 3 are scared about altering the timeline and kind of affecting the current events in the present with their time travel plans. And they don't want to kind of make the timeline worse, but Magneto actually wants to change it for the better, which kind of creates a philosophical debate about, can you change the past to make the future better, and is it better just leave it how it is? Anyway, Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, Jean and Nathan are living in a dystopian future ruled by apocalypse when Ford shows up to bring them back to the past. And Nathan here has a prophecy about him, which says he was the chosen one who will have to fight Apocalypse. And this is kind of expanded on in the second episode, when, in the present timeline, he, as Cable, time travels to the 90s. And we also find out that Mother Ascani, of the Ascani tribe, was the one responsible for sending the X-Men through time at the end of Season 1, in order to save them from Asteroid M, and also position them at different points in time in order to stop Apocalypse. But we'll just have to see if this plan succeeds. And Morph also shapeshifts into, and at the end of the first episode, Ship from the original series heals Nathan's illness from Season 1. Now anyway, overall the first episode was quite a good, decent start, just like Season 1's start. I'll give this one an 8 out of 10. In the present day timeline, Cable, along with Psylocke and Archangel, plan to recruit Jubilee and Sunspot for a new team to fight Apocalypse. And upon Jubilee asking what the team's called, the intro plays. However, the normal X-Men title card is replaced by X-Force in kind of a new intro, and that's quite amusing. Now, in contrast to X-Force, there's also a new team called X-Factor, featuring Havoc, who's Cyclops' brother, and Polaris. But X-Factor, they kind of act as a corporate government version of the X-Men. They also kidnap children, which is a bit weird. Now, one thing I liked about this episode is that it's kind of more dark, gritty, and realistic. However, one complaint I have is that there might be too many telepaths in the series so far. I'm just looking at the episodes, kind of Jean, Professor X, Psylocke. Anyway, despite Jubilee's objections, the new Horseman of War gets killed by Cable. So that's kind of what I mean. It's more kind of dark and gritty. Emma Frost and Val Cooper also make some cameo appearances. There's also an interesting battle between X-Force and X-Factor, showing the two different sides of what's going on after the X-Men leaves, the more kind of radical vigilante side and the kind of corporate government side. And Jubilee has some cool moments. There's also a nice prison escape sequence. Overall, episode 2, titled A Force to be Reckoned With. This was just a great episode, 9 out of 10. Now, in the past timeline, Magneto is mentoring En-Sabanor of ancient Egypt, despite Professor X's warning that he's going to grow into Apocalypse, the very dangerous and powerful mutant, who's featured in the original series and in the movie X-Men Apocalypse. Now in this episode we see some kind of hints of Noor's darker nature, kind of very good, quite foreshadowing, and Kang the Conqueror makes a cameo appearance. Actually not a cameo, more kind of a big appearance. I think he's planning to appear in the next episode, so we'll just have to see where that leads us. So the Egyptian pharaoh Ramatur, who possesses futuristic technology, is a variant of Kang, which wasn't actually featured in the movies, in the kind of the main Marvel movies. Kang was supposed to be the big villain, but due to kind of real-world complications, that couldn't happen, so they pivoted to Doctor Doom. But it's quite interesting to see, the so-called Marvel animated universe picking up on things that they're not doing in the current movie universe. And there's also an interesting dynamic between the different villains, kind of Magneto, Apocalypse, and Kang, although Magneto is kind of more of an anti-hero. Anyway, En-Sabanor and his soldiers repeatedly chant "Survival of the Fittest," which is apparently going to be the title for the episode of the series finale. So that could be some foreshadowing, and also hints at Apocalypse's obsession with power. And Magneto wants to manipulate Apocalypse in the past timeline, to make sure that mutants are kind of less hated in the present timeline. He feels like responsible for the tragic events at Genosha in season 1, but Professor X says that it's not his fault. Anyway, after some complications, and Sabanor starts fighting the X-Men, but then Bishop shows up, who time travels from the present to come and help them. But then a big explosion happens, set off by Ramator. Anyway, this episode was quite interesting. It was quite good. I guess some of the kind of better parts of the episode may just be kind of foreshadowing for the next episode, which hopefully is going to be quite good. Anyway, I'll give episode 3, The Rise of Apocalypse, part 1. So hopefully part 2 will kind of expand on this. But I give part 1 a 9 out of 10. Hopefully part 2 is a 10 out of 10. I'll just see. Anyway, my name's been That Cool Coder. I hope you have a nice day.